America and other NATO members can play a role as they did in Iraq and Syria, especially to provide aerial cover, to provide drone support, to provide training, special operations training. But most of the work surely should be done by the nations that are immediately affected by this conflict. If there is a resurgent Taliban, one wonders what Pakistan in particular thinks of that, and the Pakistani ISI. Let's keep in mind that's one of America's strongest allies in the region. Now, we wonder that, but I'll tell you what I think the answer is. The answer is that largely Pakistan's intelligence services have been the backdoor sponsors of the resurgent Taliban for years. And that is in essence, the contradiction in American policy towards the region, and has been a festering wound in America's approach to the region for years. It's caused much tension between the Americans and the Pakistanis. But the truth is, it's almost undeniable that the Pakistani intelligence services, the ISI, have a hand to play in the resurgent Taliban. And the reason they do is they've had this historic policy known as strategic depth. What the Pakistanis believe is that on the other side of Pakistan is India, and what they believe is that India is attempting to hem in Pakistan by creating a client state that is in its interests in Afghanistan, so that Pakistan is contained. And the Pakistanis don't like that. They suffer from a perpetual insecurity complex since partition, in fact, which was the anniversary for which was last week. Since 1947, the Pakistanis fear that their nation is too thin, almost as if they have anorexia or bulimia. They fear their nation is too thin and that India could very easily take over the entire country because it's a long and thin nation. No joke. This is why they've developed this military doctrine known as strategic depth. What they want to do is have a client state favourable in terms to the Pakistani regime in the form of Afghanistan, so that in case the Indians invade, they have what they call strategic depth, and they can go back towards the border of Afghanistan and still defend their nation. It's for that reason, a fear of Indian invasion into Pakistan, that the Pakistanis are interfering in Afghanistan by creating a Pakistani-friendly Taliban interference in Afghanistan. That fact is an uncomfortable truth that the Americans are going to have to deal with between them and their ally Pakistan. Because no matter how many troops are being sent in, if the fear is a resurgent Taliban, it's one of our allies that are largely responsible for turning a blind eye, at the bare minimum, or worse, to that resurgent Taliban. There's no good sending in more troops if your own ally is backing the enemy. And thus unfolds the chaotic nature of politics, not only in the Middle East, but in the greater Middle East.
You didn't frankly have the balls to put country before party.